What we say?
Vav.
Vav
Siman
till
Vav
the
to
end?
the end of the Siman, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Siman Samach Zayin Sivov. So Ein Neder Chal Ella Im we're talking about Hilchas Nedarim, right? So Neder is not Chal, Ella Im Hayapiv V'liva Shavim. Your heart and your mouth have to be equal, right? Aval Im Neder B'tos, but if you make a mistake, a Neder by mistake, Shaloh Daita K'mashoytzi B'svasa, your das wasn't with what came out of your mouth, right? So, I mean, certain people we know, right? There's always what comes out of their mouth is not necessarily what they meant to say, right? Or Shahira believe by nether, or he thought in his heart a nether and he didn't say it out and didn't verbalize it. Ain't a nether, so that is not a nether. Meaning, for example, a guy says he's making a nether that he's not going to eat pastrami, but that was what his nether was. That's what he was intending to say. But what came out of his mouth was baloney. So now, does that mean that he made a nether against baloney, or did he make a nether against pastrami? So it's not. It's neither. It's not a nether. It's good. Yes, he would have to go back and redo the nether. Fine. Zayin Mishanog Eza Chumra B'Dvarim HaMutarim Medina Machmas Siog V'Gadar U'Precious. So this halacha actually is a lot of misunderstanding with him. But if somebody was noyig a chumrah with things that are mutter, but he wants to be frumer. He wants to take a step up. So we're going tiny issue. Let's say during the slichas days, he wants to fast, or decides not to eat meat. He's not going to drink wine. For during the entire 3 weeks. By any sort of frumkeit. Even if he only does it once, and it was in his das to do it forever. So that's one option. Meaning that's the part where people I think make a mistake. They think you have to do it 3 times. You don't have to do it 3 times in order for it to be a neder. If you had it in your head that you're doing this and you're doing it for the rest of your life, then even if you do it once, that's considered a neder. That's one. The second option, this one, or if you did it 3 times, even if it was not in your das to do it forever, right? Meaning there's 2 options here. One is that you decide you're doing this forever and you do it once, that's an automatic neder. Or if you didn't decide you're doing it forever, you're just trying it out, but you tried it out for 3 times, then that also becomes a neder. One or the other. And you didn't stipulate, you didn't make any sort of t'nai that it's not a neder, right? So last from and now you want to go back on this because you're not healthy. And let's say you meaning going with his example that you're fasting. Then you need to have hataras nedarim. Right? And then you have to. Okay, so let's stop there. Tzarach hatara. So it's a very interesting. Ramosha Feinstein says in the chuvas on keeping Chol Yisrael. So in this chuvas where he allows Chol Yisrael, so he said he allows Chol of Stam. I mean, so in the tshuva he says if somebody decides to keep Chol Yisrael, and the reason why they kept it is because they thought that it was a halacha that they have to keep Chol Yisrael, then they don't have to be matar neder, because that is not a neder. This type of thing is for doing something that you think that you know is not the halacha, and you're trying to be a little fruma. That's when you need ataras nedarim. But if you're mistaken in halacha, and that's why you kept it, then that's not a neder. You're just misunderstanding the halacha. So therefore, he says if somebody thinks halachically they have to keep Chol Yisrael, and that's why they keep it, and now they want to renege on it, then they don't need hataras nedarim. It's very interesting. It comes up a lot. When people ask about that they started being frumer and they want to change their mind, like in certain tznius things, and the question to them is, do they think that it's halacha? If they think it's halacha, then they don't need to be matar neder, at least according to Ramosh. Okay, so now how do you go about being matar neder? V'yiftach b'charata. So you have to find what's called a pesach of regret, meaning you tell the rabbi that had I known that this and this would have happened, then I would never have made this nether. Or that's also you can have where he regrets ever doing it, he or she. But let's say you want to do a chumrah for anything that's for any type of thing. The proper thing to do is say that you're doing it belina and he should also say that his mind, his what he's doing is he's only doing that particular time, or the times that they want to do it, and it's not forever. So anytime you try something new, then do it beli neder. There's a common application of this for and there's really no good answers. Let's say you decide to join a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Chabura at 10 o'clock at night, and you decide, okay, I'm doing it forever, and you do it once, so then the question is, how do you ever miss? Because it's already a neder. Or even if you don't decide you're doing it forever, but you do it for 3 nights in a row, or you make a new chavrusa, and you meet 3 times, or you say, okay, we're going to learn from now on, and that's it, then the question is, how do you not show up to learn? It could be you become an Issa Daraisa. Some want to say
Totally, he's talking to you.
I'm not talking to anybody in particular. I'm talking to myself. All right. Right now, some poskim say that daf yomi. So if you decide to do daf yomi, so you do a blot a day. So some masechtas at the end, the last daf is only 1 amud. So some say it's a neder that you're doing a blot a day. So you have to learn an extra amud, even though that last amud only has an amud aleph. You'd have to learn an extra amud because you have it's a neder. Okay, it's very unclear how we get around doing those type of things, but okay, it's food for thought. How do you matter a neder shvua? So you go to 3 people that are b'nei Torah. One of them has to be a baki in hilchos nedarim, which are few and far between. He knows what type of neder you can annul, and which ones you cannot annul. Right, ve'ech matirin, and how you go about being matir another, and they'll be matir to him. And let's say somebody makes a neder during a dream. It's best that you have 10 people be matir neder. But if you can't do 10, then you can do 3. That's why he's saying toiv sheyatiru. It's best if you have 10 people. So I mean, it has to be a lashon of a neder in the dream, as far as I know. And it's not just like in the dream, it says, oh, I'm going to start learning 10 hours a day. That's not a neder, meaning you'd have to say, I'm making a neder that I am going to whatever, keep something. And that's in the dream. Okay, test. So we know that a child is not considered a man or a girl is grown up until they're either 13 years old or 12 years old, and they grow two hairs. And she has simonim, right? Meaning she grows hair. But for nedarim and shvuas, we actually move it up a year. A boy from 12 and up, a katana and a girl, even if they didn't have any puberty, if they understand who you make nedarim and who you swear to, which is to Hashem, which usually at that age they already understand that nidrei and neder, shvuas and shvua, then they're nedarim or nedarim, and the shua is a shua. Al chusim mizman zeh, but less than this mizman, meaning younger than that. Afilim avinim, even if they understand who God is, which they usually do, ein dereim klum, that's nothing. Mekamakom goyim behen, but we do yell at them, umaken oisen, and we literally means we hit them. So that they should not do nedarim and nedarim. Bimhu davar katan bekal. And if it's something that's small and easy, it doesn't cause too much pain, guys in then we do tell them that they have to keep it. So you have a kid that's 9, 10 years old, and makes a neder that he's going to do something, then we make him keep. Fine. Ha'av, meaning, and it's something easy. Ha'av, Yud, ha'av mefer nidre bitoy achetispaga. If a girl makes nedarim so her father can nix them, right, until she hits the age of about 12 and a half. 12 years and 6 months. But that's only if she hasn't gotten married. And a husband could also knock off his wife's nedarim. And how do you go about doing that? So Aimer Gimel Pa'amim Mufar. He says 3 times Mufar, Mufar, Mufar. Oy Batal, or he uses the lashon of Batal, it's void. Aishar lashon Hamayra, or any other terminology that says Shu Aikar Sanedem Meikari, that he's totally uprooting the wife's neder. Bain Shimer came befana, Oishalev, and doesn't make a difference whether the husband says it in front of the wife or not in front of the wife. Of a lashon hatara, but to use the lashon of hatara, right, which is from the word mutter, loy mahani ba'avu, that does not help by a father or a husband. Meaning you have to either use the lashon of hafara or batal, not mutter, because he's not being matter. The husband and the father are not saying, oh, meaning when you go to a rabbi, so the neder is a neder, and the rabbi says, okay, the neder is no longer a neder. A husband and a father don't have the power to do that. What they could do is they could knock off the neder from the beginning, meaning they're making it that the neder never existed. So you have to use that proper terminology. Fine. And also, it can only be done on the day that they hear it. They hear the neder. If they hear it, like let's say tonight, they hear that the wife or the daughter made a neder. They have a whole night tonight and all day tomorrow until shkia. Let's say they heard it right before the end of the day. Right before nightfall, ein mafirim rakat seisacham, so they only have a few minutes to knock off the neder. And more than that, they are not allowed to be mefer. Right? Yeah, and then there's an interesting din also that if the father never knew, the father or the husband never knew they had the power to knock off the nedarim, then that the clock doesn't start. Meaning, let's say a week after the wife makes a neder or the daughter makes a neder, he comes to the rabbi and says, my wife made this neder. So the rabbi says to him, well, did you nix the neder? He says, oh, I'm allowed to? I didn't know I'm allowed to. So then right then is when the clock starts, right? So even though it's been a week, it's still allowed. Fine. On Shabbos, he shouldn't say the same weekday terminology, meaning if she makes the neder on Shabbos, meaning let's say she makes the neder against eating, so he can say it in his heart, he's nixing the neder, and then he says take food, which shows that he's not caring about her neder, and similar terminology. Let's say the husband hears the neder or the father hears the neder and says, oh, I'm okay with that. Even though he didn't say it straight out, he just uses some sort of term that shows that he's okay with this neder. Even if in his heart he thought that he's happy with the wife making the neder, he can no longer make pimei for it. And if the neder is dependent on her doing a maisa, then that's a whole different thing. Meaning, if she does A, then she'll do B. So then that's a whole different thing. Fine. Yud Aleph. Which type of nedarim can a father and a husband revoke? That's only things that can cause her it could cause her personal issues, and which will then cause him personal issues. Could go in rechitza if she makes a neder that she's not going to bathe, the kishut, and she's not going to put on kishut, kichul, pirchus. Those are types of makeup. And similar things, even if it's for one day, meaning she made a neder that she's not doing any of these things, so then the father and the husband can knock it out, because that has to do with him. It's his personal. It's going to be a problem for the husband or the father. And a husband can knock off and revoke even things that have nothing to do with inui nefesh. Inui nefesh means that causing her body pain. If it's something that can come between the husband and wife, and will cause fighting between them. But that, of course, only applies as long as she is still sitting under him, meaning she's married to him, and she's not divorced, and she's not widowed. But asura, and then her neder kicks back in. Basically, a woman makes a neder that she's not going to wear makeup, so the husband can revoke it. But they can only revoke it. It's only considered revoked until the end of their marriage. Once their marriage ends, then obviously if she dies, then clearly the neder is over. But if the husband dies or the husband divorces her, then that neder kicks back in, and she would have to keep it, that she can no longer wear makeup. These halachas are obviously very technical, and the main thing, like we learned in yesterday's, is don't make nedarim, and if you do things, do a bili neder, and then you're a lot safer. Okay, have a fine night. Shmi Matzliach.